everybody, I am Scotty J. Welcome back to Rock Titan Live. We've got a very cool guest with us. It's been a while since we had a lady on the show, So I got acquainted with this amazing rocker out of Israel of all places. Sima Galanti. She's got a brand new single out, Runaways, and a brand new album coming out later this year. Ooh, unbelievable. Sima, how are you?
I'm doing great, Scotty. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. I have to tell you, you are the very first musician that I have ever spoken to who originates from Israel.
Country? Oh, from Israel.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm honored.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're going to talk about everything that you've got going on, but with the style of rock and roll, you're hard rock, for everybody. Again, go out and check out Sima. She got a brand new video that just came out a little over a week ago called Runaways. Awesome. Now, as far as like the culture of music goes, because I don't know, I have never been to Israel. I've never been to the Middle East, so I don't know. The culture that exists out there musically from an entertainment perspective, because a little while ago you were talking about, the old school nature of like your mom and whatnot. Could you be who you are in Israel today?
Well, I don't know because things changed. I mean, when I left well, don't forget that I'm also American. Like I left Israel 20 years ago. So
okay.
I left Israel because I felt that I couldn't be who I am as a woman, as a person, as an artist. And so I felt like that was, a lot of things that hold me back then. But I see things that changed and evolved with, culturally and creatively, and how people are able to express themselves a lot better. It's happening all around the world. But I think for me, I'm always going to have certain struggles, and like I said, with my mom, it's like I'm coming from a completely different culture that women's supposed to be certain way and dress certain way and have a certain type of life. And here I am, like, all this rocking out, half naked with all those outfits and, and I have a lot of those conversations with my mom that she's like, she's supportive until she sees something she doesn't approve of or she doesn't like, and then I have to deal with, Mom, but I'm an artist and that's how I express myself and it's part of who I am and what I do, and it's always tasteful and respectful and it's never like crossing the line. But I don't know if a lot of artists here, women, females, deal with stuff like that. I don't know if it's culturally or just like we are women and we're supposed to be a certain way and act a certain way, and if we dress a certain way, we sexualize ourselves and subject ourselves into men are thinking all those things. And so it's kind of like culturally it's something that you feel it everywhere. It's kind of, but here I feel like I have a lot more freedom because I'm not there 24/7. I'm not under control. They don't see what I do. It's like I have freedom to just be myself. And I think that's the most important thing for me.
Right on. Now, I know that you have been into music since you were a little girl. And I actually went out and I saw some videos of you just, rocking out, when you were very young, very, very young. Pre-puberty,
Yeah.
So would you have considered yourself or like anyone that you were friends with or your family or anything like that from a young age, would you have been considered like a little more on the rebellious side? Would you have been considered like a rebel, like a nonconformist?
Always. I never thought like everybody else. I spoke my mind. I got into trouble. When my parents said, this is what it is, and you have to do this and that, or I always questioned everything, got into trouble because like if somebody said something about my sister or somebody in my family, I actually went and got into a fight, like fist fight. Like I was this crazy protector. I was kind of like I don't know, like the one that take care of everybody. I don't know how to explain it, but I definitely was that kid that was weird and different,
Yeah, right on, right on. Now, as far as growing up in Israel, at a younger age, and like you said, you've been over in the United States for a long time now, and I guess you're a United States citizen, so do you have dual citizenship in Israel and the United States?
And here too, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right, that's very cool. Um,
Cool, yeah.
what made you want to come over to the United States in the first place?
It's weird because I always want, like, since I remember myself, I was fascinated by the culture, the music and films and everything that came from here. I listened to so much music that came from here, more of the music that, I grew up with in Israel. I was so influenced by, MTV and pop culture and rock culture. And when you live outside of America, everything comes from here. Like all this artists, like it's progress. It's like, I don't know, we get things like so late, when you
Right.
guys like in the scenes of everything. So I was fascinated by the culture, by bands and artists that came from here. I was fascinated by the English language. I was writing poetry, trying to write, in English. And I just, and in my head, I always dreamed of being here. Like in some weird way, I knew that I'm going to end up being in America. I don't know. It's like this girl just kind of like had this in the back of her head. So, yeah, I was very fascinated. It felt like a place of dream come true and opportunities. And you see that in a movie and like all this glam and just kind of fabulous.
Now, is it everything that you thought it would be? As far as being a musician and being over here, you're out in LA. Are you living the dream?
Well, I'm living the dream in a lot of ways. Like when I think about where I come from and what I went through and my journey, yes, I'm definitely living my dream 100%. It's definitely not everything that I expected. America, like every other country, has their own issues and problems, and those dreams come true. It's not something that happened overnight and you become, a celebrity and a rock star like overnight. It takes a lot of work, and it's being consistent and like working and believing in yourself. It's something that I just realized. And for somebody that comes from nothing, from completely different country, nothing was handed to me. I had to. It's like, how do you get into a circle that it's so strange to you? It's like you're a stranger, like in so many ways. So it's a lot of work. But I love it. It's like, I love it in so like it's become my home. Like this is
Very cool.
all my adult life been here, so it's home.
Right on. Right on. Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, everyone, again, we are here with Sima Galanti, and she has her brand new single out from her new album that's going to be coming out very soon, Runaways. And so this is, I guess, really your third album that you're working on. You had This Is My Truth, which was your first real LP that came out in 2012. And then you had an EP follow-up from that, Beautiful Liar, back in 2014. So it's been a little while since your last release till now. What have you been doing in that span of time? You've been doing a lot of songwriting, acting. I see that, you got a little bit of the acting, modeling type thing in your background. Would that be accurate too? Is that something that you're trying to expand in?
Well, I've been writing this record for a long time. I've been working on it for the last couple of years, just taking the time with it. And also I've been working on a documentary called Broken Wings for the last 5 years.
Right
So
on.
I've been traveling back and forth to Israel, here, the West Bank. I was working on music for the documentary, original music. There was 2 singles that I wrote for that film. So I've been busy with the record and the film and just kind of try to figure out the timing of when do I want to release music and let people see what I've been working on for so long. And it's always felt like I'm not sure if it's the right timing. Maybe I'm not ready. Maybe the song's not ready. Going back, remixing, thinking what I want to keep, what I want to take out. Acting, mainly auditioning. I do a lot of voiceovers for commercials, some animation. Modeling, not necessarily. It's just for me, it's always been a part of music, the art, visuals.
Okay.
And my brother in Israel is a photographer, so we did a lot of stuff before, collaborate on a lot of photo shoots. So yeah, a lot of creative stuff. I always create, I just always sit on it, try to figure out if it's the good time. And then I realize it's never a good time, especially with what's going on now.
Right. Well, one of the things I thought was really interesting, you were talking specifically about Runaways and, the meaning behind it, what it meant to you, and then what you had hoped to really convey to your fans, public, whoever might hear and watch the video, listen to it and whatnot. You finished this piece all well before coronavirus hit, before we started having all of this thing, all this, I guess, I don't even know the right word for it all, but with all the violence that we've had, the protesting, the rioting, in terms of police brutality, the Black Lives Matter, and all of these things going on, your song predates all that, yet at the same time, when people listen to it, when they hear the lyrics, they would think that potentially it was written for that.
Right. But it wasn't. Well, in some weird way, it was, but not on the specific coronavirus subject or, the protests like Black Lives Matter. For me, when I wrote it about the state of the world, the state that the world is in, how people suffering on a daily basis, all over the world, from so many, different things, if it's injustice and, and racism, but not only here, like things that happen all over the world. And I saw it as the system that oppress people, and like how people are weak and they don't realize the potential and the strength and, kind of like in the music video when you have the chains and the fire. It's kind of like I thought about how we have such a great, this potential as human being, to become and be those incredible human beings, and do so many amazing things, but there is so many things that are holding us back from, becoming who we truly are, and I was talking about those things that oppress us, things like, for example, if somebody told you when you were a kid that nobody's gonna love you, or you're never gonna be anything or anybody, or like you went to school and you got beat up, or you grew up in a poor city, whatever it is that you went through in life, your circumstances, your outcomes, things that shaped you, and you start believing in the story. Yeah, this is me, I'm a loser or whatever. And I felt like this song was about empowerment, about people taking ownership of their life, the full potential, and just shine, and kind of saying, kind of like giving the middle finger to everything that ever stopped them, I thought about my childhood and things that hold me back, and that's why the fire was, for me, an element of, a ritual element of burning something that doesn't serve you anymore, that holds you back, and the chains, we need to unchain ourselves and break free. So that's what I was writing about. But, those things exist in our society, in the world. And so that's why it fits so well, because all of a sudden you can plug it into one thing and say, wow, the timing is so good. But those things were there all the time, they're there, underneath, and then they just came to the surface,
Right on. Now,
So,
is it important for you then, as an artist, as a singer songwriter, to have a strong message in the songs that you create?
For my first single, Breaking Down the Walls, on my first record, I always, I wanted always to empower, inspire, uplift, and let people think, give people this something to think about, to process, to to acknowledge that there's something's wrong, and it's not necessarily about you. It's like, you conditioned to certain things, so you have to recognize certain things. It's like a healing process, instead of blaming yourself, recognize that there is something that created that caused that, and you have to heal from it and kind of, let go of it and move on and create something better, that I always thought about. I don't know, I'm deep. I'm like,
yeah. Well, of course, you're an artist, like goes with the territory. That being said, I mean, is there a particular cause that's near and dear to your heart that you kind of tap into as inspiration in your songwriting?
Well, like kids,
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about kids. I always go back to, wow, if we can give kids amazing education and give them all the support that they can get in such a young age to thrive and, spread the wings and fly, and we can create such an amazing, society. And that's where I started Broken Wings. I saw people as wounded walking around with those broken wings and creating, it's kind of like, when you're not healed, you kind of like spread that, like you bring it into a relationship, you kind of like everything you touch, it's like there is some kind of anger in there or something that it's not, it's not positive. So I feel like, I don't know, like I'm really fascinated and interested in creating like an education and kids, because I feel like if we can start young, that's when there is a chance there, because, it's like you can give them hope, you can help them and guide them and, create.
So it sounds to me, all that being said, then as an artist, as an entertainer, you are more than comfortable in the role of being a role model. Would that be accurate?
I mean, if that's how people see me, sure. Like I feel like we all role models and teachers in life. Like every person you meet, there's something that you brought into their lives, if it's, positive and, a lesson, something that you learned, so yeah, I mean, I would like to be that.
Right. Well, so, I mean, and I guess maybe a better way I could have put it is, do you actually feel a certain responsibility as an entertainer to kind of be that role model? Because there's a lot of celebrities, musicians, what have you, that are out there, and whether they realize it or not, they are role models. And people look up to them, men, women, boys, girls of all ages, look up to folks like yourself. And in some instances, depending on who it is, may not be the best role model in the world. But those people don't even care. They don't even care. They're like, well, I didn't do this to be a role model. I don't care what people think of me. Whatever people think, they think, and that's it. But so do you take that more seriously? In other words, like you want to have a positive effect on people.
Yeah, for sure. I just think about me as a kid. I always go back to like me as a kid, like Sima as a little girl. What inspired me when I was back in Israel listening to music in this little room, in this little apartment, like dreaming and like about a better life, and music that I listened to and songwriting and artists that really inspired me, and how they gave me this motivation and like gave me hope. And I feel like it's so important because you have such a platform to do that. If you got a voice and a platform, you want to use it right. There's so many people all over the world that going through so many things, and you can say something, one word, one song, some, lyric in your song that can change somebody's life, So I feel like, I don't know, I've been gifted with this ability to connect to people. I feel like this is like my biggest talent, more than even music. I have people coming to me for advice, and I don't know, like I study, I always study I like to study humanity. I like I study psychology. I always take classes and I learn, philosophy, and I'm fascinated by human condition, and I study acting for 4 years. So for me, it's always about human condition and humanity, and how can I use my gifts and talent into creating a change, like inspiring somebody, like a kid, like I was, back in Israel.
Right
So
on.
that's what I hope. I don't know. Hopefully, I do that.
I love it. I love it. Well, I think you're making real solid progress. And I know, Sima, I know you got to get going. And I don't want to keep you up, much longer here. But I guess, so it seems like things are going to be opening up here soon. It's long overdue. It seems like, cities and towns and, the coronavirus restrictions are starting to ease a little bit. So
Yeah.
what is the plan for you? How are we going to hit the ground running? What's next? What are we doing?
Well, I would love to tour. I would love to play live. That's like my main goal. I just don't know when that's gonna, happen, and how that's gonna be possible even after things gonna open. I'm assuming like going back to playing live will be completely different and will take time. So for me right now, I'm just focusing on creating and putting the music out there, creating awareness, and people, building my fan base and making sure people know who I am. So when that will happen and I'm going to be able to play live, I will have a better, like maybe a bigger following, and, people will know who I am,
Well, are there any other artists in particular that you would like to tour with, and kind of be on that ticket with them and tour with them?
Who? Well, there is few, but I don't know if I'm there yet.
You're there. You're there. Let's throw it out there. Let's tempt the fates, because
Well, I'm really like right now. I'm listening a lot to AWOL Nation.
okay.
I don't know if you heard the new record, but it's really, really good. It's kind of heavy, but then it's so eclectic. And then I like in this moment, I want to kind of be like with
Maria
other,
Brink is awesome.
yeah, and I would love to be on a bill with female, fronted, bands. Like it would be like empowering for me, and I would like that.
What if you got a call tomorrow? Would you do it? Or
Oh
would
my
you
God.
or would you have to give pause? Let me think about it.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's amazing because they originated here in LA too, and it's kind of like a very small circle, and it's like it's good timing for women. It's good times for women, for female artists right now, and especially like the music that I do. I mean, they are heavier. I don't scream. They're a little bit heavier, more on the metal side. I have some of that elements in my music, but I don't do the screaming stuff. But I do love what they do. I listen to them a lot.
Sima doesn't do the guttural.
I don't. Which is funny. I study with Melissa Cross, and she teach all the heavy metalists, like the singers. But I also like trained classically. So I don't know. I feel like having the range, but screaming is not my forte.
More like an Amy Lee Evanescence,
I get that a lot. A lot of people said that my music remind them of her, especially the stuff. I take all of that. It's all good. Yeah.
Right on. Well, Sima, thank you so much for joining us on Rock Titan Live. It has been a pleasure speaking with you and getting to know you. And everybody, go out there, Google Sima. Well, actually, we're going to have the links right here. And go check out the new music video, our first single, Runaways, off this new album that's going to be coming out. And she's got some other surprises in store for you. I'm not going to divulge them because she didn't say I could. But I know something else that's coming down the road, and it's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
I'll keep that a surprise just for you, Sima.
Thank you. Yeah. It's gonna be a surprise.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the oldies, the people that grew up with that, and for the new generation too, it's like kind
oldie
of
but a goodie, and Sima's gonna own it. Yes. Yeah. Right on.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, everybody, I'm Scotty J here with Sima Galanti. You're watching Rock Titan Live. We're out.
Thank you, guys.